What's up, guys? So when it comes to bands and chains for raw powerlifting, I absolutely do believe with the right intent, they can help you training, they can be beneficial, and they can help you put more weight on the bar, on the platform. But when we look at the research that's done on bands and chains, we really do need to realize that according to the evidence, they don't do a whole lot. And me believing that they can help and they can work kind of goes with saying that they need to be used with the right intent. And if we look at a lot of the research that was performed on using bands and chains in training, the intent in the study designs probably wasn't quite there or where it should be when it comes to tossing bands and chains on the bar. So a couple ideas that I want to kill right away. If you guys are putting bands and chains on the bar for overload, if you guys are putting them on the bar to make the bottom end lighter or the lift easier, you're probably doing it for the wrong intent and you're probably not going to get a lot out of them. The idea or the purpose of putting bands and chains on the bar is to make the lift harder through specific ranges. And again, we are not making it harder because we are overloading. We're not trying to overload our bodies. And like the concept of overload can kind of work for equip lifting for multiply, just because with multiply squats, say you're squatting in briefs, you put bands and chains on the bar to make the strength curve more realistic to what you'll experience with full gear on, and then you don't have to train with full gear on all the time. And overload from that idea can work, but if we're just putting weight on the bar to make the top heavier, to try to put more weight on than we're prepared to handle, it's not going to be much benefit for a raw lifter just because we're not prepared to handle that weight, and we're not going to be touching those kind of weights for a very long time. So what is the point of adding bands or chains to a barbell for raw powerlifting? Well, the biggest thing is we're using it to make the bottom end harder without actually putting weight on the bottom end. And what I mean when I say that is by adding chain to a bar, by adding band to a bar, if you put the right amount of chain on the bar, if you put the right amount of band tension on the bar, you will have to push harder in the bottom to make it through the top, and you'll have to keep pushing the whole way up to the top of the lift. Because if you guys think about it, like if you're squatting something relatively sub-maximal, you're pushing hard in the bottom, and then as you get towards the top, the strength curve changes, and you're going to have a bit of deceleration so the bar just doesn't blast off your back. Same thing for any sub-maximal bench. Like, you're going to rocket off the bottom, and once you get to here, you're not going to be pushing all the way through as hard as you can to the top. So when you're doing sub-maximal work, it's not going to be super specific to the top-end demand that you would need on a competition single, or having to chug all the way through and lock out hard with your triceps to finish on a 1 rep max competition bench. So solution to that, put a little bit of band or chain on the bar so that, yes, you can still blast off the bottom, but that chain weight catches up and forces you to push through to the top. And again, yes, the top end is heavier than the bottom, but we're not trying to overload the top. We're trying to load the top end appropriately to our strength curve to allow us to force our way through the whole range, to accelerate through the whole range, and actually contract through the whole range. Now, with that said, if we're just blasting and throwing and then catching, we're not really going to be getting a lot out of the band or chain, and we're not going to be getting as much out of them that will benefit our competition bench, because again, the goal on a competition bench is to push the whole way through. So if we are doing speed work, we need to be able to push the whole way through and contract the whole way through, not just throw it off of our chest and catch to the top. Similar thing for squats, similar things for deadlifts. The goal with adding bands or chains is to be able to drive the whole way through the lift. And this kind of comes into the difference between bands and chains, being that with chains, you're adding gravitational potential energy, you're putting more weight on the bar, more actual weight, more pounds as you lift the bar from the bottom to the top. With bands, you're adding elastic potential energy, and the difference with elastic potential energy and gravitational potential energy is that gravitational potential energy is in relation to the height from the ground, whereas elastic potential energy is in relation to the degree of stretch, and with that, they're going to ramp up a little bit differently, and bands tend to ramp up more aggressively than chain weight does. So bands kind of amplify that having to drive the whole way through, whereas chains are more realistic to real weight, and you're just kind of trying to lift more real weight. And for that reason, myself, I like putting chains on if I'm doing heavier variations. I like putting bands on if I'm doing lighter sub-max variation. And that can kind of differ a little bit just because, like, bands can somewhat anchor the bar. So there are times where I don't want that anchoring and I might use chains for speed work, but most of the time, as a rule of thumb, if I'm trying to move the bar fast, I'm going to use bands. If I'm trying to move a heavier weight where I want to be able to force the whole way through, I'll put chains on. So that's bands and chains for a raw lifter. Thank you guys for watching. Shoot me a message if you need any help or have any questions, and check us out on Instagram at Dr. Seth Albersworth.